Good day, everyone. So, my topic is all about methods and process of refrigerant recovery. So, recovery means to remove refrigerant in any condition, vapor or liquid, from a system and store it in an external container. Removal of refrigerant from the system is necessary in some instances during repair and maintenance of a refrigeration and air conditioning system. This is usually done first before the process of evacuation or vacuuming, especially in large systems, considering that most refrigerants contain elements that are considered ozone depleting substances or ODS, or are global warming potential or WP. Proper practice of procedure must be employed to minimize the release of these GWP environmentally harmful substances to the atmosphere. So recovery means to remove any refrigerant that are in the refrigerator, either vapor or liquid. And this usually done before anything else, and this proper practice must be conducted to minimize the release of these GWP or environmentally harmful substances. And to accomplish this, the use of special recovery equipment is a requirement. But first and foremost, it needs to have the proper equipment or machine such as safety goggles, gloves, manifold gauge, refrigerant recovery cylinder, weighing scale, refrigerant recovery unit or machine, appropriate hoses, and last, the screwdrivers and wrenches. So those are the equipment and machine needed before the operation system. So let us come now move to safety first. So the most important aspect of refrigerant recovery or any other job is safety. So here are the personal safety guidelines. Number one, use personal protective equipment or the PPE, including safety goggles, gloves, and safety shoes to prevent frostbite. So always remember to use the PPE to prevent from the harm like frostbite. So when we say frostbite, it is an injury to someone caused by severe cold. So it is an injury caused by a cold. And number two, because refrigerant vapor is heavier than air, if leaked, it will concentrate in low areas. Avoid these areas unless proper ventilation is provided. And last, avoid ventilation of refrigerant vapor. And be aware that inhalation of concentrations of refrigerant vapor is harmful and may cause heart irregularities, unconsciousness, or death. And the safe recovery process and recovery. Select the appropriate pressure rated recovery cylinder relative to the refrigerant you are recovering from the system. Number one, most technicians use a manifold set with two center utility ports, 4 in for recovery and 3/8 in for vacuum. In addition, the blue and red hoses connected to the low and high side ports. Make sure the manifold gauge are rated for the refrigerant pressure to be worked with, and you have an accurate weighing scale. Number two, a set of charging hoses with with ball valve ends is also needed. It is important to ensure both hoses and assemblies are according to recognized standards. And number three, it is best to use the shortest hoses possible for a given job for a more efficient recovery and reducing the impact on environment. And be sure to check the condition of the hoses prior to use. Number four, use quality recovery unit. Look for one with a large condenser, a compressor protecting regulator or CPR valve, and a high pressure cut-out switch rated for at least 510 psi. And some manufacturers offers a subcooling feature, which is an excellent way to increase the rate of recovery in high ambient conditions. And number five, make sure to have the right tank or cylinder for the job and that you do not fill it beyond 80% capacity at 77.9 Fahrenheit. Check the valves for signs of damages such as dents or corrosion before using and confirm the cylinder is within the certification depth. Number 6. Weigh the empty cylinder on an accurate scale, assuring that the cylinder is free standing on the scale with no restrictions due to recovery equipment. And monitor the pressure during the filling step and do not exceed minimum or do not exceed maximum service pressure of the recovery cylinder that is stamped on the cylinder collar or shoulder. And number 8, do not overfill the cylinder shut-off valve if maximum gross width or service pressure is reached. And the liquid refrigerant will expand as its temperature is increased if the cylinder somehow becomes completely full of liquid. The pressure can increase dramatically with a relative small increased temperature. Number 9. Once recovery is completed, close the cylinder valve completely. Weigh the filled cylinder as final checkpoint and tag the cylinder by identifying the refrigerant content to avoid mixing refrigerants in the same recovery. And last, number 10, exercise caution when moving filled recovery containers. Use properly, use proper cylinder handling procedures like avoid dropping, denting, or damaging of cylinder. That is according to Vergara 2001. So, here is the refrigerant recovery methods. One of the most important tasks a service technician will perform when maintaining or repairing refrigeration and air conditioning systems is refrigerant recovery. Prior to evacuation or vacuuming the system, understanding the different recovery methods will help the technician perform this important task as efficiently as possible. It must be coupled with proper procedures to prevent harm to both technician and the equipment while getting the job done right the first time. Recovery is also similar to evacuating system with a vacuum pump, and it is accomplished either by the vapor recovery, liquid recovery, or push-pull recovery method. The following recovery methods are courtesy of Ritchie Engineering Incorporation Yellow Jacket products. So, one of the most important tasks of a service technician will perform refrigerant recovery. It is important first to evacuation or cleaning inside the system to prevent from any harm. And the vapor recovery method. So the vapor recovery method is the most commonly used in refrigerant recovery as it applicable to smaller systems like refrigerators and air conditioners. In this method, the refrigerant is removed from the refrigeration or air conditioning system in a vapor state. The vapor is then condensed into liquid by the recovery unit and transferred to the recovery cylinder. So, one of the vapor recovery method is it is commonly used refrigerant recovery as it is capable to smaller systems like refrigerators, and air cons. So it is accomplished following this setup shown in Figure 90 and a step-by-step procedure. So here is the step-by-step vapor recovery using a Yellow Jacket brand of recovery machine. So step 1, turn off the refrigeration or air conditioning system where the refrigerant is to be recovered. Number 2, close all knobs of the manifold and check that the recovery machine selector knob is also set to off. Number 3, step 3, connect the manifold to the system being serviced, high side to the liquid port and low side to the vapor port of the refrigeration or air conditioning system. Number 4, connect the percent in utility hose from the center of the manifold to the suction port or inlet of the recovery machine. Step 5, connect a hose from the liquid side of the recovery cylinder to the discharge port or outlet of the recovery machine. Step 6, make sure that the ends of the hose with the shut-offs are used at the suction and discharge ports. And step 7, purge all hoses before starting to recover refrigerant into the recovery cylinder. Step 8, turn the recovery unit on and switch the selector valve on the unit to vapor. And step 9, open the utility port and the low side valve in the manifold. And the unit will recover until the low pressure switch shuts down the unit and the lamp indicates recovery complete. And step 10, when recovery is complete, turn the system switch off and turn the selector valve clockwise to off. And number 11, step 11, again, you must purge after every recovery. So turn the system switch on and turn the selector valve to purge. And last step, number 12, when the unit again shuts down and the lamp indicates recovery complete, your vapor recovery process is finished. So when the unit gain shutdowns and the lamp indicates recovery complete, your vapor and recovery process is finished. So in this figure 90, this is a system setup for vapor recovery method, and that is the step-by-step vapor recovery using a Yellow Jacket brand of recovery machine. And this is the end of my report. Hope you've learned something from my report. Thank you guys for listening.